I'm joined today by podcast pro Flo from the successful media company Schønlein. They of Einschlafen mit Wikipedia fame and soon to be bedtime with Wikipedia. Flo is head of podcasting at Schønlein and one of 3 founders at the company. The details behind their story and rise will be revealed by Flo, so I'll only mention how it is that Flo came to so graciously give up his time to spend an hour with me. Sam, a friend and mutual acquaintance, put us into contact with one another on the basis of talking about whether an idea could perhaps work in an English market. At least that was my impression. Within moments of talking to Flo, he had invited me to his studio, and a week later we recorded some sample podcasts together. The purpose behind this tale is a simple one. Flo and Schønlein are of the doing variety of people. They have ideas and go with them. They are creative, determined and hardworking, and on top of all of that, genuinely really nice people to engage with. This will all be borne out in the podcast you will soon hear. I thank you sincerely, Flo, for your time and the open manner in which you spoke with me. And of course, I look forward to continuing our cooperation together. Flo, let's jump into it then, because to be honest, I'll do a very small monologue here, yeah? Because when I started doing these podcasts in January, there was zero intention on my part to do anything moderately professional. Yeah, this was just like me messing around as some sort of dumb, guy with regards to technology, chatting shit and blah, blah, blah. But then sort of we spoke, and obviously you are at a completely different angle. So you guys are absolute professionals. Okay, fun loving, but absolute professionals. So just to kind of get the ball rolling, can you tell me how bad I was the first time we met?
No, you're not bad at all. You're very professional too. So I more had the feeling I have to convince you of my professionalism. Because for me, you were the professional in the recording booth.
Okay, you're very kind. But you guys have got a fantastic setup. So I saw a small part of your operation, but also reading your website, you kind of you present yourselves as having a slightly different approach to podcasting. But before we get to that, how did you get together? Where did you all come from? Because you're all really young, aren't you?
Yeah, we were classmates in the university. In Film University in Babelsberg. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And we did kind of cooking events from time to time. And there was the idea born, let's found a company. It's the last 2 semesters of our university career. And so we decided, let's do it. And so the next day we met, Fabian, Rebecca and me, and signed the contract. So out of nothing.
Wow. So from one day to the next, you suddenly had a contract? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And we were supported by the university for young company founders out of university. So we had a lawyer and some business coaches for the start.
Okay. All right. So that helps, obviously, in having a contract within 24 hours.
Yeah,
clearly.
totally. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I was going to ask, who's the legal eagle in among the 3 of you? But okay.
We're totally equal. Everyone's got 1/3 of the company.
Fine. And not the university has nothing.
No.
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 Wow. That's really Okay, that's cool. So it's not like a spin-off element where you have where they retain some kind of ownership. It's they've said to you guys, there you go, it's your baby.
Yes. So it's maybe like an emotional spin-off out of
Okay.
university. So
Okay.
they like to keep our company in their environment. So we get the young students to hire to get the first experience in economy.
Oh, cool. So you kind of get like a sort of fusion of the next generation, as it were, and you help them to develop their experience for them to then go out and sort of find their own feet.
Yeah. And in best case, they never go out; they stay at our company.
That's cool. Can you talk a little bit about Babelsberg? Because it's, I mean, I'm not sure that I had necessarily heard of what Babelsberg represents within the realm of media in Germany. So for people outside of Germany who don't know anything about it, how would you present Babelsberg?
It calls itself Media City, and there's a big studio for doing Hollywood movies and TV shows, and yeah, radio stations are there, and it's a big media campus. And we have an office and a studio there too. So Babelsberg has a big reach of awareness in media in Germany. Yeah.
So it's not localized. They're actually involved in other sort of federal state projects too.
Yes, and not just federal projects; it's international projects. It's like Steven Spielberg or Tom Hanks are doing their movies in there. Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tom Hanks was quite local, wasn't he, when he did work on the Klinika Brücke?
Yeah.
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 Did you actually get to see him when he was there?
I have not seen him, but at this time I lived in Babelsberg too. So the whole bridge, Kliniker Brücke, was illuminated by the studio lights, and the whole city shines. Yeah, was shining.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of this stuff now, and also, I mean, since would you say? Okay, I'm jumping around a bit. I'm really sorry, but it just listening to the story that you talk about it kind of inspires this. So since this sort of streaming revolution, we've seen the growth of Netflix and lots of other streaming organizations now as well. And they're really pumping money into sort of independent or sort of new regions. And is it true to say that the sort of German sort of film market or TV production market has really benefited from that? Because there are so many ideas that come out of Germany now, aren't there?
I think the cinema and TV um, companies benefiting um, by governmental programs to support new movies and yeah, productions. This is a case, and that's why Babelsberg especially has such a big standing.
Mm.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah, of external
And
money. Yeah.
yeah, and it's also, but it's interesting as well because they, I mean, Netflix, you know, they obviously have had to change their model because large companies like Disney have sort of withdrawn their material from Netflix, so they've had to quickly go out and invest, and they've done quite a bit of investment in different European countries. Do you feel any of that money or that investment is it trickling through to perhaps like startups such as what you do, or is that a completely different world?
We're mostly a podcast company, so we don't feel the trickling down effect um, directly. Uh, yeah, on our bank account, but we feel the need for other companies to invest in new media productions. Yeah.
Mhm. And has that kind of opened up also for podcasts? So I'm aware. Obviously, I jumped on the bandwagon myself within my limited capacity, but How big has the growth been for podcasts in Germany, but also I guess around the world? Because it's quite simple to do, really, but then there's this kind of level where you got to jump up to make it to monetize podcasts, and a lot of us don't manage that or don't want to necessarily. But you guys have got a really different approach to it. So, um, how have you managed to, without revealing all of your secrets, of course, how do you get things done in your way?
So podcasts in general are rising in Germany. It's getting really huge, and everyone's looking to the numbers and the scales in USA, and in general, we and the media companies in Germany say everything that happens in the USA reaches Germany 3 to 5 years later. So we expect more growth in podcasts. And yeah, how did we get personally in such a good position as a company? I think we had good ideas. Yeah, that's the simple thing. We started out of nothing. Yeah, we didn't start out of nothing. We had some money, and we are very good connected to other media guys. And yeah, but all you need is a good idea, and then the next idea is is paid by the first one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you essentially sort of reinvest,
Yeah.
the profits from one project into another, and this, the cycle continues.
Yeah. So we are still poor, like students, because all the money that gets in um, goes out as well. Yeah.
Mm. But I mean, I always remember I can never remember the guy's name, which is a bit silly. But the guy who set up Apple, he said something like, stay hungry.
Steve
Um,
Jobs.
there you go.
Yeah.
See, so in this case, is it fair to say, okay, you're poor, but I mean, does staying hungry manage to generate some extra creativity for you then?
Yes, I think so. We're always on the hunt for new ideas, for new voices, new faces, new people to reach for the stars with us. So if you like to say it that pathetic,
Mm.
yeah,
Well, no, but yeah, in media everything goes right. So yeah, that's fair enough. But reaching for the stars, I think in some ways it's exactly the way that you have to look at it. The stars are unattainable, but you have to keep reaching for them.
yeah,
If you set your targets too low, then what do you do? So yeah, no, I think it's a very good metaphor. And what about, because obviously for me, I'm 44 years old. So when I sort of, look at you, and I've also spoken with some of your colleagues, Rebecca, and you're very young. So you're quite passionate, emotional, obviously professional. How do you handle disagreement,
disagreement by who?
conflict among yourselves? Like, do you
Oh,
argue when you have ideas? I mean, do you get together in a room, have a few beers, and like, because you got a really comfortable sofa? Yeah, Levon loved it, if you remember. So, I mean, how do you manage your conflicts?
yes, we're arguing, but in a calm way. Um,
Okay.
we almost never drink alcohol in the company.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And I think that's the secret to talk about everything. And we are three founders, so three guys that have to say something, that can decide something, and so it's never 50-50 decision. And when two guys say it's option A, then maybe the one guy that says option B is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how we handle it. Yeah,
Mm.
and hard decisions can stay hard decisions for a couple of days before it's getting real. So if
Okay.
you like to know what I want to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I completely understand it, and I mean, sometimes obviously when the emotions can perhaps be a bit high, then it's more difficult to reach an understanding. But then over time, people sort of calm down.
Yes,
You have a general open-minded approach, it seems.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. We want to handle every problem like adult people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Even if you don't necessarily want to be tainted as adults traditionally are tainted with their inability to change direction sometimes.
Yeah, maybe we're the new kind of adults.
I hope so. I hope so.
I mean, I'm
Because my
30.
generation.
I'm not that young.
No, you're not 30. Come
Yeah.
on. You're not a day over 25, man.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Cool. I don't feel so old anymore. Yeah. But I mean, look, that brings us on to also another side issue, which we haven't necessarily agreed upon before, but I have a feeling you'll be able to run the wave of spontaneity. I recently saw criticism of Greta Thunberg. Yeah, so we're talking about a young lady, 18 years old now, and she's been creating waves for quite some time. And obviously, you are still connected with the university, as you said. Um, how encouraged are you by younger people? I mean, they are a constant source of surprise, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and it's motivation for us to never fall out of style in a way.
Mm.
So, but to always be in the flow to generate new ideas. So if I think about the first month or the first year of our company, we started as a Facebook social media company. So we did social media marketing on Facebook, and now Facebook is totally out of style, and we didn't want to fall down with Facebook, so we decided to cancel it out of our offering. So then we started thinking about TikTok and Snapchat and things like that. And now we're mostly a podcast company. And everything happened in 4 years of company history. So
Yeah.
we always try to define ourselves new. Yeah.
Mm. And it's to sort of redefine what you do and the way that you do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, does that, because that can take quite, I don't know if it's fair to say retraining, but I mean, with every new platform or new direction you take, do you have to like reinvest in your infrastructure or the studio and stuff like that?
We have to reinvest in the mindset of our employees, I think. So it's always the case that at least one of our employees didn't earn any money for the company, and every year it changes. So the hardest part is if something really works, like now the podcast thing, is for another person. While I write the podcast wave, the other person has to think about what comes next, and thinking is not paid. But thinking
Mm.
is important for our company to stay alive. Yeah, and I think that's kind of investment we need to do, and we need to convince ourselves every time again to do this investment, because it's very easy to think, yeah, it's working, it's all fine, so we're getting money. Why why don't we focus on podcast without looking right and left and in front of us? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, I mean, I also saw on social media somebody once said that everybody's doing podcasts nowadays. It's starting to get a bit boring. But my immediate thought thereafter was that it's impossible to get boring because there are, um, if you like a podcast, you stick with it. And if you don't like it, you look for something else. And there's always a new option. So, I mean, to be honest, with podcasts or podcasting as a sector, um, it's got a really long future, hasn't it?
I think so. I mean, look at the book industry. So you also can say it's getting boring. Everyone's writing his own book. So, and yeah, there are 100,000 new titles in the bookstores every year in Germany, but the people are still reading. So what's wrong with it?
Mm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's the same for podcasts. It's the same for new Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV series. Yeah, it's always the same.
Yeah. And do you feel that because we always talk about how at the moment there is this element of fake news. Do you feel that, for example, having a responsible professional channel or media companies like Schønlein, that people know when they come to you,
Hmm.
they're not going to be getting fake news? And do you think this is a part of the attraction of being and developing an established name or company like your own?
Most people that fall for fake news don't even know that it's fake news. I mean, that's the nature of fake news. So,
Mm.
and I think it's no one is aware of Schønlein Media as a non-fake news company. So it's our um, um, I didn't know the word. I don't know the word.
It's okay. Tell me in German, and then we'll show that this is multicultural.
Okay, Verantwortung.
Responsibility.
Yes, it's our responsibility to do the best thing for humankind we can deliver.
So that shows that you are sort of responsible, as you said, but vernünftig, reasonable,
Yeah.
as in you take a certain level of, or you attach a certain level of importance to your productions. So you have a social conscience.
We try. We try to have it. We try to be a good company, and we cancel clients for being not good in our way we think. And yeah, I have to say we worked with clients that were not good, but they paid well, and that's it doesn't make us fall asleep at night in a good way. So we thought about that's not the kind of work we want to deliver, and we will never do it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So you're basically taking your social responsibility above your personal benefit.
Yes, but we're in the comfortable situation that we can afford this. Yeah.
Yeah. Which in itself is well, it's a great thing to be able to say, and for it to be the truth at the same time. Um, yeah, one of your shows or projects, I'm not sure how you would best define it yourselves, but this Schlafen, or is it Einschlafen
Yeah.
mit Wikipedia? Yeah, okay,
Einschlafen.
Einschlafen. Yeah, I wrote Schlafen. I'm sorry, Einschlafen. So, which you've translated also to bedtime with
Yeah.
Wikipedia. Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's talk about the German one, because that's the one which is really well established.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, because you told me about this, and I thought, okay, that's just so cool. Can you tell me about where you got the idea for this show?
Yeah, we wanted to do a podcast that everybody needs daily. So we thought about doing short stories for being in the bathroom. How to say it politely, and yeah,
Okay.
but then I was at a kind of podcast event convention, and someone from Wikipedia sat next to me, and in the coffee break, I had this idea and asked him, "Hey, it's cool. What do you think?" And he said, "Yes, do it. It's a great idea." And so we did it, and it became a huge success. It's our biggest hit still, and it showed to us how less we understand the mechanisms behind success. Yeah.
Mm.
It's getting bigger
Yeah.
and bigger and bigger, and we never expected to be the podcast that big. Yeah, and it's still growing.
Yeah, everybody I speak to about, or at least of my students, I tell them about Einschlafen mit Wikipedia, because I think that I've listened to a few. I don't understand everything that
Mm.
because I'm German now, but British, so therefore my German is a developmental thing. But and they're like, oh, cool. So yesterday I told the guy, and he was like, oh, brilliant. That sounds so cool. So the concept, it really draws people in. Um, why do you think it is? I mean, obviously, you said it's quite a simple idea. But what do you think makes it so attractive?
It's the calm way and the close way. Tillmann and Fine, our German narrators, um, present the articles. Yeah, and it has two things. The first thing is you get to know more about a specific thing. So every week we have a new topic or two new topics, and the second thing is you fall asleep very calmly. And yeah, it's a boring podcast. And the biggest biggest compliment is when someone tells us he didn't make it to the end.
Which in itself is such a wacky concept, but yeah, it's brilliant. How many podcasts have you got now? Because you basically produce two a week, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
How many episodes do you mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's about 200 now.
Wow,
Yeah, but
wow.
the way we get to know each other is we're starting an English version very soon.
Mm,
Yeah, next.
yeah.
Yeah, on Halloween.
Oh, it's going to start with Halloween, is
Yes,
it?
Halloween is the
Ah,
first episode, like in German, 2 years ago.
ah,
Yeah,
okay, cool. But have you done it that the topics basically follow the same order, or is it like randomized?
it's randomized.
Okay.
We have an editor is selecting out of the best titles in Germany. So now we know what kind of articles are received very well, and a lot of people wrote us on Instagram their favorite articles, and then we choose the right ones. Yeah,
Okay, so people also make suggestions,
yeah,
or yeah.
yeah. Mostly, like
Ah,
90% of the new articles are suggestions.
okay. But I mean, try to explain if from what you think. So if I let's say I've made a suggestion. Actually, no. Let me actually make a suggestion, because you sent me one on Star Trek. Yeah,
Yeah,
a few weeks ago,
yeah.
and I saved that for the last. Yeah, sorry that I sent it to you so late, but I saved that for the last because I love Star Trek. And I have to say, while I was reading it, I got lost in the topic. So I didn't even realize I was reading into a mic. So for
Yeah.
me, it was just such a cool topic. Um, but I mean, if you are interested in something that's being talked about, that's
Mhm.
going to keep you awake, isn't it?
Yeah. And then just listen to another episode.
That's true.
That's simple. And
Yeah.
every year there's the Spotify wrap up when Spotify tells you what band or singer or podcast you were listening and for how long. And then we get screenshots about from people who listen to maybe 40 episodes in a row.
Oh wow.
Because they fall asleep and they didn't notice the podcasts are still are still playing.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, and the time frame is basically, you told me, between 15 and 25 minutes
yeah,
for each podcast.
yeah. Most people wish for longer versions, but it's not how you earn clicks and money in the second stage. Yeah, and it's more work for us. So you have to write that article. It's not copy and paste from Wikipedia. So there's an editing behind the article, and then you have to read it. Then the cutter has to listen to it, cut it. Then someone else has to re-listen to it. It's so much work in one article, and the longer the article is, the more work it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that at least explains that, because I have to say I do find it difficult to sleep within 15 or 20 minutes. There are some people who put their head on the pillow and that's it. They're out
Yeah.
like a light. Are you like that?
Yes, because I work so
You're so
much.
lucky.
Yeah. If I have a chilled life, then I'm not that kind of person. But
Okay.
I recently moved from Potsdam to Berlin, and so I have to do a lot of work in the new flat after my office job, and I haven't even did the TV on.
No?
No, it's still wrapped in in paper, and that helps a lot falling asleep if you don't have a TV at home. For me,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you listen to Einschlafen mit Wikipedia?
No, I can't relax.
Because you have to work on it all the time, so
Yeah,
you can't listen. Okay.
but in general, I listen to. I do not like to listen to podcasts a lot because it's my
Really?
job. Yeah,
Ah,
but
okay.
and maybe it's kind of the thing that I think Tim Cook, the Apple head of Apple, didn't have his kids own iPhones or iPads, or the Netflix founder don't want his kids to use Netflix because it's like don't get high on your own supply. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
What about like audiobooks? Do you listen to audiobooks, or is that the same thing? It's
No,
too similar, is
it's
it?
the same thing for me. No.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's quite funny, isn't it? It's a bit like, so my dad, he used to have a garage, and he used to fix other people's cars and sort of paint the bodywork. But with his car, if he had a blue car, he always had a red door. You know,
Yeah.
and he was like always, yeah, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And this is it's quite a similar thing, isn't it? Where you are professionally engaged in podcasting and so audio media, but in your own time, it's not your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a cook doesn't cook at home. Yeah. Or a singer doesn't like to sing when he or she is not on stage. So yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Totally
yeah, or in the
understandable.
studio.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just I'd never thought about it actually, but yeah, I mean, absolutely makes sense. So how do you relax then? Do you have like a dog? Do you go for a walk? Do you read? What's your relaxing thing?
Um, I'm trying to do some music things. So, I have a small synthesizer, and I wrote my own songs. And yeah, I'm not that professional. I can't even read notes. And I can't play an instrument, but I try to, and that makes me very happy. Or yeah, I do normal things like going out with other people. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And the I can't remember, the word has slipped. The jingle, sorry,
Yeah.
for Einstaffeln mit Wikipedia. Was that you?
Uh,
Did you make that?
the music? No,
Yeah.
it's from SoundCloud.
Oh, really? I don't know what is SoundCloud.
SoundCloud is like YouTube for music. If you want, it's I think it's a German startup 15 years ago, one of the first German startups, and I think Ashton Kutcher invested in it very early. Yeah, and we found the song there, and it was under Creative Commons license, and we could use it, so we used it, and people like it.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel every time it comes on, I feel like there is like a sort of 1970s influence to it. Is that what you feel as well, or do you just hear it as a really relaxing?
I hear it as a warm, relaxing song. It feels like bad time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like things are sort of slowly calming down, and it's got those very, soothing
Yeah, yeah,
notes, isn't it? Yeah. No,
yeah.
no, I do. It does make sense when you listen to it, and then when you understand, obviously, what the podcast is about. So, yeah, that's really good. Okay, and all right, this year we've had, changing the topic completely again,
Okay.
if you don't mind. So, yeah, this year we've had in Germany federal election, and we've got now the parties are getting together, they're talking. Um, I do remember at the last election, the promise was digitalization, 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 and that never really came about. For you, how important for doing the kind of innovative technology media stuff that you do, how important is it that Germany really improves its technological sort of situation?
Yes, it's very important for us. So the lockdown showed us in a brutal way that the internet connection isn't stable enough to record an interview like we do now. Okay, for two people it's okay, but if you have like a talk show or something with more people, then it's getting more and more complicated. It's nearly impossible to have a stable connection to everyone and to have a stable connection to the studio where all the vocal tracks are going into to record it. And the next step is if we have a freelancer as a cutter as freelancer, we have to send the multiple gigabytes heavy files from A to B, and it's taking a long time. Yeah,
Okay, so their download basically,
yeah.
or
Download,
yeah.
upload is too long. And if you're on your mobile phone, then you have to pay a lot of money to to get just a tiny bit of the connection you get in Ukraine for 5 cents. Or yeah,
Do you know, you're right. I last week I was with the guy from Bulgaria, and he was telling me how the internet in Bulgaria is so much better
yeah,
and cheaper than Germany. I
yeah,
mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
yeah. It is, and it's like the reason is the privatization. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the infrastructure belongs to one company, and they can do the price. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, there have been, I believe, discussions, with the government, with private enterprise of improving the infrastructure, but it's such a slow process.
Mm.
And I mean, some people would point out that it took how many years? 10 years to build an airport in Berlin. I think the Hamburg Opera was delayed by I don't know how many years, and so on.
Yeah.
But Germans essentially have a far better reputation when it comes to organizing things. Um, do you think this is going to improve with the next government, whoever they may be? I mean, we don't even know who they're going to be, but yeah.
I hope so. Yes, I'm looking forward to get to see the things getting better. The last 16 years, it was like someone played pressed the stop button, and nothing happened.
Okay, you mean technologically you're speaking?
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, okay. Um, and obviously, okay, you so moving back to your what we were talking about earlier. So you're looking to expand into new markets, and so this is why you've also organized to do an English version of Einschlafen mit Wikipedia.
yeah.
Um, why is that interesting for you, or is it just it's you're just going to see how it goes? How do you look at it?
Yes, we want to see how it goes. If we can duplicate the success we already had in Germany, and a big goal would be to um, to do the first internationally big podcast out of Germany, because it never.
Uh,
I don't know any podcast from Germany that is internationally a success.
do you think it's because German is spoken in certain 3 or 4 countries,
Yeah,
and that's why?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe just to say it a little bit more colorful, we want to be the Tokyo Hotel of podcasting.
The Tokyo Hotel of podcasting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can I show my ignorance and say I don't know what you mean? What's Tokyo Hotel?
Tokyo Hotel is maybe the second most successful band next to Rammstein.
Oh, okay. Rammstein I've heard of.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Really? What does Tokyo? What kind of music does Tokyo Hotel play?
Emo, indie, teeny, girly music. Yeah, with black black eyes
Ah,
and yeah.
okay. I may have heard an art or some musical article or presentation about them, and they're called Tokyo Hotel, are they?
Yeah, and one of the Tokyo Hotel guys is married to Heidi Klum.
Ah, okay. And she's a famous model, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Is she German or is she
She's
Austrian?
German. Yeah.
She's German.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. I know some things, but most of the stuff I know are so random.
Yeah.
But mainstream things I'm not really familiar with. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it's totally
Um,
mainstream. And
yeah, that's
we want to become mainstream with our podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Germany you are. I mean, do you also have a large following in Austria and Switzerland, for example?
Yeah.
Are you aware?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have. Yeah. It's all over the world, but mostly in the German area, like Germany, Switzerland, and Austria.
Okay, and I mean there are large, obviously, German communities in the USA, I think, but also in South America. I mean, can you track the sort of explosion, as it were, of listening in
Yes.
these areas?
We can see by country how many people are listening to our podcast. But I don't know who this is and why. Maybe it's German people on vacation. Or I don't know.
Okay.
Or do they live
Do you think
there? Yeah.
do you think non-German speakers could also listen to it and fall asleep?
Yes, I heard from some guys in the USA who had listened to the podcast in the German lessons. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, and as a means of improving their
Yeah.
German.
Listening comprehension. It was called in my English classes. Listen
Yeah, well,
and
yeah.
repeat.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is listening comprehension. It's the same in my classes. Yeah, cool. Well, that's another topic we haven't really discussed because your English. If somebody asked me to do a podcast in German, I'm not sure that I would be able to. Well, I'd say hello and blah blah blah, and then I'd be very quiet and say keine Ahnung, for the rest of the time. But
Yeah.
you're sitting there, you're talking with this big smile on your face, and you're expressing yourself really well. Are you representative of, would you say, the average German when it comes to the ability to communicate in English, or would you say you're a bit above the average?
I don't know. I think I'm at the bottom of my own bubble, but my bubble is Berlin, and more people. It seems like more people are talking English than German. And yes, as a proper German, I have to say sorry for my bad English. But I think my Vorteil,
Advantage?
my advantage is that I like to talk, and then I just start talking, and then I think, oh, what was that coming out of my mouth?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. Well, maybe that's something that you can always look back on when you do the editing. But that's also interesting because when I sort of ask people to do podcast, and normally the people I speak to have never done a podcast before, so for them it's a completely new experience. But then I kind of strike them with this the same approach, which is, well, we're just having a talk, and then we'll see what happens. Do you look for a specific kind of character? I know voice is an important issue, and maybe later you can indicate what you, as a sort of professional audio sort of expert, will look out for. But do you have a certain kind of character that you like to work with, much like yourself?
No, no.
Okay.
I can definitely say there's no kind of person I like to work with. Most persons have something I like on them, and for podcast host, we're looking for open-minded people who like to talk and can present themselves and can feel themselves. Yeah.
Okay. Could you explain that last bit a bit more? That feel themselves. How do you mean?
To know how your voice works on other people by turning the volume down, doing breaks in your sentence, and to find the right words at the right time. So it's mostly timing. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you think somebody? Okay, somebody can be perhaps gifted in being able to lead a conversation or a seminar, but do you think this is also something that comes with experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people with a microphone in front of their mouths don't like it. They don't like their own voice. They don't know how to behave in front of a microphone or in front of a camera. And the more often they do it, the more confident they get in this situation. And I do some kind of coaching, or I'm not the coach. I'm the other guy.
The assistant coach. Okay.
No, I received the coaching
Okay.
to become a better speaker in front of other people, to have more clear thoughts while talking, because that's my problem. Mostly my brain just switches off and it's just my mouth talking. And I would like to learn to think about the next sentence I say before I say it.
Wow. Okay. I would never have thought that was the case, because you're very lucid. You're very logical in your argumentation and very natural. So when you communicate, then you clearly follow a certain line.
Because I'm a lucky person in life. Really, I
Yeah.
always be and I always was a lucky person, and maybe that's the case of me speaking too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. And then the thing about, just one last question. Yeah. The thing about voice. So when you look for people to do your podcasts for you, regardless of gender, what is it that really draws you to a voice to make you say, "Oh yeah, that's what I want"?
I can't say a specific thing. It just have to fit in my idea of this podcast. So one
Okay.
your voice is perfect to fall asleep because it's calm and very deep, and you have this specific frequencies in it that makes me feel comfortable listening to you.
Okay. Okay.
And recently we thought about kind of a late night podcast we are now producing, and to find a host for that is totally different, because it's not that much how the voice sounds. It's more like how entertaining is the person. So yeah, and how entertaining is the person without the picture level. Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
I can't say more.
All right. So I would put people to sleep, but I wouldn't entertain them.
Maybe you could, but that's not the Zach I know by
No,
now.
no,
By
indeed.
now,
No,
yeah.
indeed, indeed. I always have you. Did you ever see Midnight Caller? It's a TV show from the 80s.
No.
with Jack Killian. It's on YouTube now. I'll send you a link later. You probably will say this is terrible. We could never do this. But basically, he was like a police officer who then became a late night DJ, and each episode was that he would solve somebody's problems, and it was fantastic. And that I always said, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. But now you've just closed the door on me. I'm not going to be a late night DJ, it seems.
I think you could do it. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Flo, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a pleasure working with you. Anyway, because you guys are always really nice. You're really open and honest in your communication, and that's refreshing. But I'm also grateful that you've taken the time to come onto my show and add this huge element of professionalism to it, and so openly talk about your, the way you are and the way you guys have done things. So. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the things you've done for me and for the Bedtime with Wikipedia podcast, and to having me in your podcast.
Two and a mic. Two.